There will be no Golden 8 as there were in Beijing. For starters, that was 8 years ago when Michael Phelps was merely a pup. Now 31, old only in the world of Pokemon Go and competitive swimming. Phelps has his sights set on a much more realistic 4 events with no plans for the future, at least we don't think. Then again, Rio was supposed to be the end of the road for Phelps. Instead, it's a chance for the human bullion depository to add to his haul of 18 gold and 22 total Olympic medals. And that quest began on Sunday. Team USA and Michael Phelps swimming in the 4x100-meter freestyle relay. Phelps the second of 4 to swim. France was leading before Phelps hit the water. He gave the U.S. the lead when he tagged up. Team USA goes on to win at a time of 3:09.92. France was second, about a half second behind the U.S., so 19th gold medal for Michael Phelps. We told you at the top of the program he was going for Olympic medal number 23, and he went out and got it by a member of the 4x100-meter relay team. By the way, the U.S. rebounded, if you can call it that, from a silver medal finish in this event in 2012 when they lost to France this time around.
For the past 16 years, Michael Phelps has grown up before our very own eyes. The lanky teenager in Sydney is now a 31-year-old father and fiance, and he is headed to his 5th Olympics in Brazil.
Isn't that amazing? He's 31 years old. We just knew him. And this week's SC Featured, brought to you by Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Wayne Drees tells a story that's about far more than gold medals or world records. It's a tale about a young boy growing into a man.
This is SC Featured. This is the power of sports.
That's a train wreck. It's just like a time bomb waiting to go off. I had no self-esteem, no self-worth. Yeah, there were times where I didn't want to be here. It was just not good. I was just so lost. Where do I go from here? What do I do now?
I didn't know where he was headed. And it was kind of scary, and you want to save that person because you love them, but in the same token, you can't help somebody if they don't want help.
Throughout his swimming career, Michael Phelps personified perfection. 18 gold medals, unparalleled success. But bubbling beneath the surface was a complicated relationship with his father, Fred, who divorced Michael's mother when the young swimmer was 9.
I felt like he was kind of abandoning me. And I was just like, I'm not even giving any energy. I'm not putting any energy into something that I thought was a dead-end street.
My dad and Michael are very similar. They're strong-willed, they're opinionated, they speak their mind. And so when there are two strong-willed, opinionated people that speak their mind, it tends to create a clash.
As Michael and his father, a 28-year Maryland State trooper, drifted apart, Bob Bowman, Phelps' coach since he was 11,
you push 201,
became more of a father figure, tasked with navigating Phelps' complex personality.
he would be having a stretch of practices where maybe things weren't going very well, or maybe he was very tired, and he might have an emotional kind of reaction. And if I tried to really talk him through the whole thing, it might get back to something that maybe had to do with his dad.
8 gold medals in Beijing in 2008 didn't ease Phelps' frustration. Phelps says he despised the image of perfection his success had created. He wanted out. 6 months after Beijing, this photo emerged.
It was not a beautiful Michael Phelps world. After the Bong photo, Michael didn't trust anybody except for me and maybe his mom and a couple other people. He was wary of everything.
In London in 2012, Phelps retired as the most decorated Olympian of all time.
Done, bye, see ya, finished. Nothing, I wanted nothing to do with the sport. I was done.
Retirement brought with it freedom he had never known.
I gained 30 pounds. Probably had some fun, too much fun. Whatever I wanted to do, I did. I was a little twerp.
By that point, Michael had enough money, enough friends who were outside of swimming, that he could basically totally isolate himself from us and not deal with us. I thought it was going in a direction where something really bad was going to happen.
Eventually, retirement led to boredom, and Phelps asked Bowman about a comeback for one last Olympics in Rio.
I said, no, cannot do that. We can't go through this again. No, I'll do it the right way, okay.
But early in the morning of September 30th, 2014, Phelps failed to live up to his promise.
I knew that he was out at the casino. He said, hey, I'm done. I'm going home now. And I said, okay, are you sure you're okay to drive? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I said, okay. And I said, call me when you get home.
Phelps had been drinking at the Horseshoe Casino in Baltimore. When police pulled him over for going 81 in a 55 in the no passing allowed Fort McHenry Tunnel, he had one thought.
I'm f***ed. That's it. I was setting myself up for some kind of failure, and I was screaming for help.
Be advised, last name Phelps, first name Michael.
A breathalyzer test revealed a blood alcohol level of 0.14, nearly twice the legal limit. Phelps was arrested and charged with DUI, his second in 10 years.
He's lucky no one got hurt, but in the same token, that's heavy. It's not like it's your parents that are disappointed in you. It's the weight of the world.
I honestly felt like that was his third strike and that was it. That his ability to kind of be Michael Phelps, was kind of over.
For the next 5 days, Phelps says he stayed in his Baltimore home, curled up in his bedroom.
For a moment, I thought it was going to be the end of my life, literally. Just because it was like, second one, how many times is he going to mess up? I was like, yeah, it'll probably just be better without me. People won't have to deal with the BS that I give them or the crap I put them through. I didn't really leave my room, didn't eat, didn't really sleep. I just figured that it was the best thing to do was just to end my life.
Advice from longtime friend, mentor, and fellow Baltimore icon Ray Lewis lifted Phelps.
I'm like, baby boy, listen to me. This is when we fight. This is when real character shows up. Don't shut down, because if you shut down, we all lose. And so to hear a younger brother say some of the things he was saying, right, about, bro, I effed up, man. I just effed up. And I'm like, really? Really? Okay, let me give you an example what you say messing up is. And so for me, I had to go back into some of my dark days and things that wasn't pretty on my side. And so what we started to reinstall in him was, let me show you who you are. I want to expose to you really who you are.
Lewis and others close to Phelps eventually convinced him to seek help at the Meadows, a behavioral rehabilitation facility just outside Phoenix.
Got into a car, shaking in the car, shaking when I got there, scared shitless. When I started texting my mom saying I was afraid for the first time in my life, I was out of my comfort zone. I didn't like that. I think when you find your lowest point in your life, I think you're kind of open to a lot of things to try to change it and to try to get back on the right path. I was just surrendering.
For 45 days at the Meadows, Phelps worked on his inner demons for the first time. Between therapy sessions, Phelps often swam in a pool, far too confining for an 18-time Olympic champion.
I would take 2 strokes and get to the other side. So I was like, well, don't really know what I'm gonna do in here. I just started doing drills, flip turns, working on kick. I got yelled at for wearing a brief. Couldn't wear a brief, so I had to find something else to wear.
Phelps also buried himself in a book Ray Lewis had given him, The Purpose-Driven Life.
It's turned me into believing that there is a power greater than myself, and there is a purpose for me on this planet.
Second, third day he got in, and he called me. He was like, man, this book is crazy. He was like, the things that's going on, oh my gosh, my brain is, bro, I cannot thank you freaking enough, man. Like, you saved my life. And so that was the moment when I started to hear he coming out of it. He will make it. And then he started calling me with things he was reading from the book, and I was like, it's sinking in.
For a long time, I thought I was the bring the family back together baby. My therapist said, well, you failed. How does that feel? And then I read this, and I was like, you know what? I think it helped me when I was in a place where I needed the most help.
The lessons learned in those pages and in therapy convinced Phelps to try to rebuild his relationship with his father, Fred.
They were going to have a family week, and I was invited to come spend the time with him, which I immediately jumped on. RSVP'd, I'll be there.
Why?
He's my son. I love him.
I was shocked. I wasn't even going to invite him to family week. I just didn't think he would come. And I guess it was to the point where I was just like, why do I just want another no in my life?
I was apprehensive is not the word. Maybe scared. Not at what I would find, but how I would be received, which actually it was fear that was unfounded. As we saw each other, we shook hands, threw our arms around each other, gave a big hug.
It was good, challenging at times, but probably the biggest learning experience that we could have with one another, about one another, that we've ever had in our lives.
It was eye-to-eye contact. Okay, here's what I got to say, and here's what I need to ask. And it was honesty, both ways.
I didn't want to have that what if. That's something that's so big for me. You know, I never wanted to go through my life and, God forbid, not have the chance to be able to share emotions that I wanted to share with him. It's kind of what I missed as a kid.
What was the hardest part of the time you were there?
Leaving.
Why?
Because I had my son back. Just didn't want to leave him. I had something back that I didn't know I would get back. When I did, there was love. Doesn't get better than that.
In November of 2014, Phelps left the Meadows and resumed training for Rio. 3 months later, he asked Nicole to become his wife. The couple would soon start a family. On May 5th, 2016, Phelps cradled his son, Boomer Robert, for the first time.
Just emotions just ran through my body when I was holding him, and right when he was born, I was in tears.
To know where we've been and what we've gone through and where we are today, and then to be able to see him and I guess our creation in his arms is one of the most amazing feelings I've ever felt.
There's a beautiful thing seeing that there's a beautiful little boy that my son was the father of. I hope he can learn from the mistakes that I've made. I think we both now kind of are aware after the rehab, you know, some of the things that I could have done, some of the things that he could have done, remembering them and having them be as an education instead of a scar or a bad memory.
It's the best, just being able to have the people who love me for me always there every day and supporting me. It's just incredible. So it hasn't been the easiest road, and you know, we've had some bumps in it, but I had a goal of making my 5th Olympic team, and I'm enjoying the ride more now than I ever.
Great story on one of the all-time great Olympians. Michael Phelps' first individual race is August 8th, swimming the 200-meter butterfly. He will have a chance to add to his medal count in 3 individual events and up to 3 relays. Phelps says he hasn't had a drink since his time in rehab in 2014.